Hi, welcome to Food All You Never Wanted to Know. Did you know, see this dry corn? This was 8 ears of sweet corn that we bought from a farmer, local farmer, delicious, wonderful sweet corn, not GMO. It is not GMO. Anyhow, the way you do this, very, very simple. This is a tray from our dehydrator. You take the corn, you wash the ear, you put it in a steamer pot that's actively steaming for 5 minutes flat. 5 minutes, grab them out, throw them in ice water, and then cut them off. And there you've got corn that goes on the dehydrator. And you turn it on, and I don't remember how long this took. It might have taken a day. It takes a bunch of hours, but 8 ears of corn, and I don't have to use the freezer to store it. Now, it has a couple of these little pillow pack things that help the moisture, but you put it in there, and every day for about a week, you give it a little shake once in a while to be sure it's still loose, nice and dry, and it's beautifully dry. It's been great. And if there's no moisture that comes on the inside, you're good. If there is, then you need to put it back on your dehydrator and dry it longer. Now
It's interesting to note, you've got 8 ears in the jar.
Right.
And yet on the tray are 4 ears.
Right. So it took 2 trays to do this. Okay. And boy, when you open these, the smell is awesome. It smells so good. So now we're going to try another thing, which I've never really tried before. I have dehydrated lots of tomatoes before, because the garden, you know, get too many tomatoes at a certain time of year. But I was in a store today, and they had these overflowing pints of these wonderful cherry tomatoes, and we have tried these. They're very sweet, little sweet with a little tart. So that's the way I like them. So what I did, I took each one and I cut it this way and then this way.
So you quartered it.
I quartered it up and down from the stem end, and then I don't know if you can see that. Okay, like that. Okay. Okay, so I have these, and I'm going to put them on the dehydrator. I'm not going to leave them all kitty-wampus. Oh boy, they look pretty wet, don't they? I'm going to try to turn them upright. I don't know if that's the way to do this or not, because usually when I do dried tomatoes, I slice them. And I have this really nice silicone thing on top of the tray, because this is a very old dehydrator, and I was afraid that the plastic that was on it had PVCs in it or something. So I got that silicone to put on top, and it's been great. Nothing sticks to it.
And it has smaller mesh.
It has tiny mesh, so I can do the tiniest things in there. Be aware, when you dehydrate something, it shrinks a lot. So if you have, I don't know, what would they do that's like really tiny?
Any of your herbs.
Oh, goodness, yes. The herbs, if you're dehydrating herbs, they'll go through those holes when they dry. They'll be all over the bottom of the dehydrator. So be aware of that. The good thing about it is something that's large will shrink and take up less space. Now, if you would like to learn to freeze dry, first of all, that's pretty expensive. But if you can save up the money for a freeze dryer, that's a wonderful thing to have. Just be aware, a freeze dryer will lighten what you've got, but it will not shrink it. So dehydrating with a regular dehydrator makes it lighter and also compacts it down to a very, very tiny space. Whereas Freeze drying won't do that, but you also have a product that's amazing when you freeze dry. Dehydrated food is great. Freeze drying food is a next step up. Costs a lot of money to buy the freeze dryer. But anyway, I'm going to put this on the dehydrator and we'll be back when they're dry to see if this worked, as well as my sliced tomatoes. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, this is more than 24 hours later. I took everything out of the dehydrator and I let it stay out of it for a little bit, maybe a half hour, just to cool down and to make sure it's nice and dry. When you take it out, it will be hot, it will be warm, and you don't want to put it in the jars when it's still warm. So if you look at that, you can hear it maybe. Hear that? Okay, they are dry. We actually tasted them a little bit ago and they taste really good. So this is the jar that had the 8 ears that I did last week. And basically what I do is I fold up the sides. I get them in the middle, somewhat. And then I pour them in the jar. And I don't think I can do this with one hand. So I'm gonna do this and then turn the camera off and see how much fills this jar. All right, this is how much dried corn we got from all that corn. This quart jar is about 20 ears of corn. It could be more or less depending on the size of your ears. This was a corn grown by a local farmer called Marais. It's actually M-A-R-A-I, I think. It's a hybrid, but not GMO. So I'm not too good at growing corn, so I try to buy from the local farmers on these things. And always write on the top or the side the date, what it is, so you can remember. And over here, this is what happened with the little cherry tomatoes that we quartered. And they turned out, they're nice, dry, sort of leathery. I guess you could do it a little bit more, but we tasted these and these were kind of good. You put them in your mouth, you chew them a little bit, and the flavor hits you after a minute. So we're gonna put these in this little jar. And as you see, it's not gonna make a whole lot. However, I can add more to this jar as time goes on and just have a little snack once in a while or toss it into something and rehydrate if I choose to. So these are some things that you can do with dehydration, and we'll go through a few more things as I do them this fall. This is great. No refrigeration, no freezing needed in order to keep these fresh for a very long time. So once again, this is food all you never wanted to know. Take care. Please share, like, subscribe.